Anyway, yes, this is Business Etiquette for Writers. I am your moderator, Emma Bull. I am very pleased to be here and to pass on to you the information that my mother told me when I was very small, which is just be nice to everyone.
Hi, my name is Matthew Peterson. I started out writing short fiction, and my first novel is coming out in January. It's a young adult novel, and I actually have some horror stories and good stories about business etiquette. As I wrote this book, I was looking for a publisher, and during the process, why don't I start writing some short fiction? And I got a spam email. I don't know if you ever read spam. Someone has to, or else they wouldn't keep sending it. But I read the spam and it said, hey, there's a short story contest. It ends today. 500 people have already entered. And I'm like, well,
gotten that.
What the heck? I'll do it. And I wrote the story that day, sent it
John
in,
Liver.
and I actually won the contest. So this is before I got my publisher, and I'm like, you know what? I should really start, working a little bit harder to get a publisher for my book. So that actually kind of motivated me to do it. So January, my book, Para-World Zeros.
I'm Dave Boop. I write short fiction right now. I am just about to finish my first novel, which has been accepted for publication. It should be out in time for WorldCon next year.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah.
I'm a bull. I write novels, short stories. First one was War for the Oaks. Been doing this since like 87.
It used to be that, you didn't have to pitch so much in writing. Now it's a lot more pitching, I find.
My impression from writers I've talked to is that if they're at a convention and in an elevator and someone proceeds to pitch a book to them, they don't want you to do that. They would rather you send in the submission.
Well, it depends on the editor.
Well, marketing has changed a lot, but I'm not certain that etiquette for writers themselves has changed a lot. The kind of stuff that we can control is our behavior and our interface with publishers, with editors, with other writers.
Right.
Where's my audience? Because every editor, every publication, they have a specific audience that they're looking for, and that's one of the things I look at. If I'm going to approach someone, they better be publishing what I'm writing.
Well, that seems just like a courtesy to them,
Yeah.
because their day is surprisingly short.
I've been to several panels where I've seen an editor for Putnam or an editor for Analog or a magazine, and the second that panel's over, there's 5 people with envelopes walking towards them. And I look at their expressions on their faces, an expression of dread goes across their face. And I was one of those people with the envelope, because I remember going towards them and seeing the expression on their face, like, oh, this isn't going to work. However, just last night I was talking to David Summers. Yeah, and he has a pretty small magazine, Tales of the Talisman. Only pays about $10 per story. He says he's getting 10 a day, and that's for $10 for a story.
I didn't have to say anything else because someone had finally taken the cork out of the editors, and they went, we have to tell you about our horrible, horrible lives, and we only do this because we love books. It was so funny because they spent their entire day fielding phone calls, making presentations to the sales staff, doing all kinds of stuff that wasn't actually reading books. They took manuscripts home to read them because that was the only time that they were going to get any uninterrupted time. And so they're like writers, they're working all the time they're awake.
We should be able to look at an editor and be able to see the body language and the facial expression. And sometimes we almost have to be a mind reader.
When I was talking to, I think it was Sharon November, she was at a panel, and second got off, the stream of people went to talk to her. And I was there, and I was talking to her, and another person, a young lady, was with me, and she was all bubbly and smiling, and Sharon pointed at her and said, I like you. She didn't even know her, but I like you, just because of the bubbly, the smiley, calm, collected person that she was.
Does it help to know additional stuff about editors? And if so, how do you find it out? I just mentioned Sharon and chocolate and smoke breaks, Okay, Is that useful? Does that help? Is that something that, no, darn it, it really is all about the writing and let's stick to that?
It does help if you know what they like. Sometimes they'll even mention on the website, I really want a little bit more humor. Nobody's sending me anything with some humor in it. Some of them have little pet peeves. I don't like the pretty stationery, or I don't like this or that, but I don't like the big, long summaries, or one of them does like the long summaries. Gordon Van Gelder, and he told me, he said, if you write, for a story, short stories of course, if you write on there that you have a book that's been published, I'll take that and put it in this pile, just from that alone. And I thought that was interesting because I didn't see that anywhere on the website or on the submission.
Well,
but
basically,
he told me that personally.
I think what happens is that, he looks at that and he says, okay, some other editor liked his stuff.
Go Google them, find out if they have a blog, find out what books they did and what style of writing they like and stuff like that.
I can't remember who it was, but one of them I read, if he smells smoke on the paper, he'll toss it. Because he doesn't like cigarettes.
Oh,
wow.
And basically, it comes, you learn stuff like that from other writers who have been, because you can't go to every editor's panel that they've ever run. Some editors don't go to panels anymore.
Be considerate of their time. If you are a fan and you're talking to an author, and they're in the bathroom, that's probably not the best time to talk to them, but I know it happens.
Okay, horror story.
I think that, being considerate of their time and also considerate of their feelings about it.
There's nothing worse than having somebody come up to you at a convention and say about a book that's already been published. I really don't think that you should have done that scene in the 5th chapter. It's like, okay, you do know about ink, paper, can't fix, many copies out there in the world, you know that?
Some authors' websites, like I think Orson Card has an error in Ender's Game, like right there in the FAQ, yes, I know about this error.
I think this happened to Alan Moore. And he went into the men's room, he went into the stall and he closed the door. And someone under the door slid something under for him to autograph.
Oh, what did he autograph it with?
Yeah, well.
And Joe Haldeman and Gabe, wonderful people. I'm there alone, all by myself at the conference with thousands and thousands of people. It's my first time. I'm like looking around, and I had actually met them at a previous one, and they remembered me. And they put their arm around me, and it was just an amazing experience for me that they, even though, okay, Joe Haldeman's, won a lot of awards and written lots and lots, but he and his wife were friendly and kind to their fellow authors.
I didn't behave like Joe and Gay Haldeman, because, man, there are very few people who are a better example of how to behave like a pro than those two. Try to be nice to everybody no matter what. You never get anything good out of having the last word, especially if the last word is a snarky one. And, reviews. How do you respond to reviews? What do you do?
If you do get upset at a reviewer, at an editor, or someone at a particular publication, that person might be at a different publication next year, and all of a sudden you just burn some bridges with that other, and it might even be your
This
current
is a
public.
small business community. This is
Very
yeah,
incestuous.
yeah.
So I think biting your tongue sometimes is something that business people should be able to do.